My girlfriend said cannot make it tonight. I just need some time to focus on myself. Hope you understand. At 5:30 on a Thursday evening when we were supposed to cook dinner and watch documentaries together. So I gave her space. All the space in the world, actually. What happened next is why I am here asking Reddit if I handled this correctly. Because I am still processing what kind of person I was about to marry. Let me back up and introduce myself. I am Liam, 34, high school history teacher here in Seattle. I live in this small craftsman house in Green Lake that I bought 3 years ago. Nothing fancy. Just me, my books, and apparently way too much trust in people. I have always been the steady guy, you know, the one who shows up when he says he will, pays his bills on time, believes that honesty is not negotiable in relationships. Maybe that makes me boring, but it has always worked for me. My girlfriend Madison is 31, works as an ER nurse at Swedish Medical Center. She is brilliant at her job, ambitious, always talking about personal growth and emotional intelligence. We have been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months, and our wedding was supposed to be this coming spring. She moved in with me about a year ago and I thought we had built something solid together. But then, about a month ago, things started getting weird. It began with the cancellations. Double shift at the hospital. Okay, I get it. Healthcare is demanding. Then it was my sister is having a breakdown over her divorce. I need to be there for her. Fair enough, family comes first. A week later, therapy ran long, and I need to process some things. I am all for mental health, so of course I supported that. But then it became, I just need a self-care night every few days. Look, I am not clingy, and I understand that people need space sometimes. But when your fiancé starts treating your planned dinners like optional social events, you start to wonder what is going on. 3 weeks of this pattern, and I was starting to feel like I was dating a ghost who occasionally texted me updates about her emotional journey. Then came last Thursday night. We had plans to cook dinner together and watch this documentary about ancient Rome that I had been excited to share with her. She knows I geek out over history, and she usually indulges my teacher brain with good humor. At 5:30 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Cannot make it tonight. I just need some time to focus on myself. Hope you understand. I stared at that text for a long time. Not I am sorry or something came up or even rain check. Just this clinical announcement that she had decided to prioritize herself over our relationship. Again, I replied what any reasonable person would. Of course, take all the time you need. But honestly, I was hurt and confused. We were supposed to be planning a wedding, for crying out loud. When did I become something she needed space from? So I did what any rational person does when they are feeling disconnected from their partner. I made myself dinner, opened a bottle of wine, and settled in to grade some papers. Just me and my red pen, marking essays about the fall of the Roman Empire. The irony was not lost on me. Around 9 that evening, I was getting ready for bed when I remembered I needed to check something on our shared Ring doorbell account. See, about 6 months ago, there had been a break-in attempt in our neighborhood, and Madison had been really spooked about security. I installed the smart doorbell system, and we both had access to the app so she could see who was coming and going, even when she was at work. It made her feel safer. And honestly, it was kind of nice to get alerts when packages arrived. I opened the app just to make sure everything looked normal, maybe catch up on any delivery notifications I had missed during the day. That is when I saw it. Timestamp 9:17 p.m., about 20 minutes earlier. The video showed someone walking up to Madison's front porch. Not our porch. Her old apartment that she still keeps for work convenience when she has early shifts. We had installed a Ring doorbell there too, under the same account after she mentioned feeling unsafe during her night shifts. The apartment I helped her keep even though we lived together because she said it made her commute easier. The someone was Noah Grant. He is Madison's ex-boyfriend, 33, works as a paramedic at the same hospital. They dated for 2 years before she and I got together. Madison has always been very mature about maintaining friendships with exes, which I respected. She would mention him occasionally in the context of work stories, always very casual, very appropriate. Noah mentioned this interesting case, or Noah thinks the new protocols are working well, professional stuff. But in this video, Noah was not dressed for work. He was carrying a bottle of wine and what looked like takeout bags from that expensive Thai place downtown. He walked up to her door like he belonged there, like he had done this before, and she opened it before he even knocked. The video was only 30 seconds long, but I watched it 4 times. Madison had told me she needed space to focus on herself. She was apparently focusing on herself with her ex-boyfriend. The worst part was not even the deception. It was how reasonable she had made it all sound. How she had turned her need to see another man into my responsibility to be understanding and supportive. How I had been apologizing in my head for even feeling neglected while she was building a whole separate life 20 minutes away. I did not call her. I did not text her. I did not drive over there and make a scene like some jealous maniac. Instead, I poured myself another glass of wine and tried to figure out what kind of person I was dealing with. Because here is the thing that really got to me. If she wanted to end things, she could have just ended things. If she wanted to explore something with Noah, she could have been honest about it. But instead, she chose to keep me around while she figured out her options, and that felt like a special kind of cruelty disguised as kindness. I went to bed that night knowing that everything I thought I understood about my relationship was wrong. Madison was not taking space to work on herself. She was taking space to work on someone else while keeping me as her safety net. The question was, what was I going to do about it? But here is where the story gets interesting, because I had already decided that if Madison needed space to focus on herself, I was going to give her more space than she ever imagined possible. Update 1. Holy cow, you guys. The response to my original post was overwhelming. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment, share similar experiences, and remind me that I was not crazy for feeling betrayed. After reading through hundreds of responses, I realized I needed to update you on what happened next, because it gets so much worse before it gets better. So when I left off, I had just discovered that Madison's self-care night involved her ex-boyfriend, Noah, wine, and takeout at her apartment. I spent that entire night lying awake, thinking about what to do. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, demand explanations, make her account for every lie. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that would just give her the opportunity to minimize, gaslight, and turn this into a discussion about my trust issues. Instead, I decided to handle this the way I handle everything else in my life, methodically and with clear boundaries. Friday morning, I called the wedding venue, the Fairmont Olympic Hotel downtown, where we had booked the ballroom for April. I explained that I needed to cancel due to changed circumstances. The coordinator was very understanding, though she did inform me that the deposit was non-refundable. $8,000. Gone. But you know what? Worth every penny to not marry someone who was auditioning my replacement while wearing my engagement ring. Then I called the florist, the caterer, and the photographer. I kept half the vendors on retainer and redirected their services for something else entirely. That afternoon, while Madison was at work, I arranged for a delivery 24 white lilies. The florist told me they symbolize rebirth and closure. Perfect. I included a note, handwritten on my good stationery, since you need space to focus on yourself. I thought I would help. The wedding venue has been canceled. The vendors have been redirected. You will find your engagement ring on your front porch, along with space to figure out what you really want. Take care, Liam. I drove to her apartment and left the ring box on her welcome mat, right where her ring camera would capture it perfectly. Then I got back in my car and drove straight to the Oregon coast for the weekend. No phone, no social media, just me and the ocean, and the first real peace I had felt in months. By Sunday evening, I had 15 missed calls and about 30 text messages waiting for me. Madison, what is wrong with you? It is not what you think. We are just friends helping each other through work stress. You invaded my privacy by watching the doorbell camera. Call me back right now. This is not how mature adults handle relationship problems. I did not respond to any of them. But then Monday night, I got a text that made my blood run cold. Madison, fine. If you want to throw away 3 years over nothing, that is your choice. But you should know that Noah posted something on Instagram tonight that is going to make you look really stupid. Curious, despite myself, I checked Noah's Instagram story. There it was. A photo of a wine glass on a kitchen counter taken from what was clearly Madison's apartment. You could see her distinctive blue ceramic backsplash in the reflection. The caption read, "Sometimes closure tastes like a good vintage." The post had been up for 6 hours. Our mutual friends had already seen it. Some had even liked it. This was not a private emotional support session between friends. This was Noah publicly claiming territory while Madison fed me stories about needing space for personal growth. I screenshot the post and saved it, but I still did not respond to her messages. Tuesday morning, I woke up to the sound of my doorbell at 6 a.m. The Ring camera showed Madison standing on my porch in her scrubs, looking like she had not slept. She was talking to the camera. "Liam, I know you are in there. This is ridiculous. We need to talk about this like adults. I have been standing out here for 20 minutes. I made coffee and watched her through the camera feed as she finally gave up and left for work. That afternoon, her mother called me. "Liam, honey, Madison is devastated. She told me what happened, and I think there has been a terrible misunderstanding. She only went to see Noah because his father is dying, and she was providing emotional support as a friend. You know how compassionate she is. I had to give Elaine credit. She delivered that line with the conviction of someone who actually believed it. I am sorry to hear about Noah's father," I said. "When is the funeral?" "Oh, well, I think it is sometime next week. The family is still making arrangements." "What is his father's name? I would like to send flowers." There was a pause. "Charles Grant, I believe. Thank you. I will look into that." After I hung up, I spent 5 minutes on Google. Charles Grant, Noah's father, had died in 2018. 4 years ago. I found the obituary, the funeral home records, everything. I forwarded the obituary link to Elaine with a simple message. "Please let Madison know that I am sorry for her loss in 2018 and that I hope Noah has recovered from his grief." Elaine never responded, but here's where things got really interesting, because it turns out the story was so much more complicated than just an emotional affair. A mutual friend, someone who works at the hospital, reached out to me Wednesday night with some information that changed everything. Apparently, Swedish Medical Center has been going through budget cuts and restructuring. Several nursing positions were being eliminated, and Madison had been worried about her job security for months. Meanwhile, Noah had recently left the hospital to join a high-end private medical clinic downtown. Better pay, better hours, more prestige. And he had been dropping hints to people that he might be able to put in a good word for qualified nurses who were looking to make a transition. Suddenly, all those self-care nights and emotional support sessions started to make a different kind of sense. So I did something I probably should not have done. Madison and I shared an iPad for watching Netflix and managing our household calendar. She had been using it the night before to watch something while I was grading papers, and apparently forgot to sign out of her email account. When I opened it to check our shared calendar, her Gmail was still logged in, and I noticed there were draft emails in her recently accessed files. There, in her drafts, I found this. "Noah, thanks again for dinner last night and for walking me through the application process. I have been thinking about your offer, both professionally and personally. I know this is complicated given our history, but I think we owe it to ourselves to explore what this could be. I will submit my application to the clinic tomorrow, but let's keep this between us for now. I need to figure out how to handle things with Liam before I make any major changes. Talk soon, M." The draft was dated 2 weeks ago, a week before she started her campaign of needing space to focus on herself. So there it was. Madison was not just emotionally cheating with her ex-boyfriend. She was strategically positioning herself to leave our relationship for a better job and a backup plan, all while making me feel guilty for not being supportive enough of her personal growth journey. I screenshot that email draft and saved it with everything else. Then I sent Madison one text message. "You did not cheat with your body. Madison, you cheated with your priorities. And that is somehow worse." She tried calling immediately, but I had already blocked her number. The thing that gets me the most is how calculated it all was. She could have just told me she was unhappy, that she was considering other opportunities, that she had feelings for someone else. Instead, she turned me into an unwitting accomplice in my own betrayal, making me feel bad for not giving her enough space to plan her exit strategy. But you know what? I am actually grateful it happened this way, because now I know exactly who I was about to marry, and I dodged the biggest bullet of my life. Update 2. Okay, Reddit, buckle up, because this story is not over, not even close. I thought maybe Madison would take the hint and move on with her life. I had blocked her number, ignored her emails, and made it pretty clear that I was done with the relationship. I figured she would focus on her new job opportunity with Noah and leave me alone. I was so incredibly wrong. First, let me address something that came up a lot in the comments on my last post. Yes, I probably should not have looked through the shared iPad. And yes, that was technically a violation of privacy. I get that. But when someone is lying to your face while planning their exit strategy, I think the normal rules of relationship etiquette go out the window. I was gathering information to protect myself, not trying to control or manipulate anyone. Anyway, 2 weeks after I sent that final text, Madison decided to escalate things in a way I never saw coming. I was leaving work on a Friday afternoon, walking out to the faculty parking lot, when I saw a familiar figure sitting in a car near the entrance. Madison, still in her scrubs, had been waiting there for who knows how long. When she saw me, she got out and started walking over. Now, I teach at a public high school. There are students and parents around constantly, and the last thing I wanted was to have a dramatic relationship confrontation in front of the place where I work. But Madison apparently did not share that concern. "Liam, stop ignoring me," she called out across the parking lot. "We need to talk about this like adults." I kept walking toward my car, hoping she would take the hint and not make a scene. She followed me. "You completely overreacted," she said, loud enough that other people were starting to notice. "It was work stuff. Professional networking. You turned it into something it was not." I stopped walking and turned to face her. There were students from my afternoon AP class watching from about 20 feet away, clearly fascinated by the drama unfolding in front of them. "Madison," I said quietly, "you were applying for a job with your ex-boyfriend at midnight while telling me you needed space to work on yourself." I reacted appropriately. "That is not what happened, and you know it. I have the email draft. I have the Instagram posts. I have the Ring camera footage. What I do not have is any more patience for this conversation." I got in my car and drove away, leaving her standing there in the parking lot. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong again. Monday morning, I walked out to my car and immediately noticed something was wrong. There were scratches all along the driver's side, deep gouges in the blue paint that spelled out a single word, "Liar." My Subaru Outback, which I had bought new 2 years ago and taken meticulous care of, had been vandalized in my own driveway sometime overnight. I called the police and filed a report. The responding officer was professional and thorough, taking photos of the damage and asking about any potential suspects. I mentioned the confrontation with my ex-fiancée, but I tried to be fair about it. I said there had been some relationship drama, but I could not prove who had done the damage. Then the officer asked if I had any security cameras. I did not, but my neighbor across the street did. Mr. Henderson is retired and has this elaborate home security setup that he loves to tinker with. His cameras cover most of the street, including the front of my house. He was happy to help when the officer asked to review the footage. There, clear as day on Sunday night at 2:47 a.m., was a figure in medical scrubs walking up my driveway with something in their hand. The resolution was not great, but you could make out what looked like car keys, and those distinctive teal sneakers I had bought Madison for her birthday last year. The officer asked if I wanted to press charges. I said I would think about it. That evening, Madison sent me a text from a new number I had not blocked yet. "Hope the new paint job matches your ego." I screenshot that message and forwarded it to the detective assigned to my case. By Wednesday, Madison had been charged with malicious mischief in the 3rd degree, a gross misdemeanor. The damage estimate came to around $650, which put it just under the felony threshold, but still serious enough to require court proceedings. But the story gets even more interesting because apparently I was not the only person Madison had been lying to. Thursday night, I got a message on Facebook from someone I had not heard from in months. Talia Monroe, Madison's best friend since college. She had been one of the people defending Madison in our mutual friend group, telling everyone that I had overreacted, and that Madison was just going through a tough time. "Liam, I owe you an apology. Can we talk?" We met for coffee Saturday morning at this little place in Fremont. Talia looked exhausted, like she had not been sleeping well. "I need to tell you something," she said before I even sat down. "Madison has been lying to all of us." Apparently, Talia had been getting increasingly suspicious about Madison's version of events. The story kept changing slightly every time Madison told it. First, it was just professional networking with Noah. Then it was emotional support for his dying father. Then it was old friendship helping each other through workplace stress. So Talia did some digging of her own. "She has been seeing Noah since about 6 weeks ago," Talia said. "Not just work stuff, dating." I found photos on her Instagram from a weekend trip to Vancouver that she told me was a solo retreat. Noah was in the background of half of them, 6 weeks ago. That was right around when Madison started her campaign of needing space to focus on herself. She was planning to end things with you after she got the job at Noah's clinic, Talia continued. She wanted to have everything lined up first. The new job, the new relationship, a clean transition. She said it would be easier for everyone that way. I just sat there processing this information. Madison had not just been cheating on me. She had been conducting a months-long exit strategy while making me feel guilty for not being supportive enough of her personal growth. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Talia looked down at her coffee because I have been defending her to everyone, and I just found out that she has been lying to me too. She told me you were harassing her, showing up at her work, threatening her. She said that is why she had to protect herself. Protect herself how? She said you keyed your own car to frame her for property damage. I showed Talia the security footage on my phone. We sat there in silence for a long time. I am sorry, she finally said. I should have trusted my instincts about this whole situation. Madison has always been good at making herself the victim when things do not go her way. But this is next-level manipulation. No hard feelings, I told her. I appreciate you telling me the truth. And I meant that. It felt good to finally have confirmation that I was not crazy, that my reactions had been reasonable, that the person I thought I knew had been a carefully constructed fiction. After coffee with Talia, I went home and did something I probably should have done weeks earlier. I changed all my passwords, removed Madison from any shared accounts, and blocked her on every platform I could think of. Then I opened a bottle of wine, put on some music, and started planning what I wanted my life to look like now that I was free to build it however I wanted. The legal stuff with the car is still ongoing, but my insurance is covering the repairs. Madison's attorney reached out about a plea deal which suggests they know the evidence is pretty solid. As for me, I am doing better than I have in months. I had lunch with some college friends last weekend, started a new book, and even signed up for a woodworking class. Turns out having your evenings free to do whatever you want is pretty amazing when you are not spending them walking on eggshells around someone who is secretly planning their exit strategy. I keep thinking about that line from the detective who took my statement. People will show you who they really are if you pay attention. Madison showed me exactly who she was. The only question was whether I was going to believe her or keep believing the story she wanted me to believe. I chose to believe the evidence. Final update. A lot of people have been asking for a final update. So here we are. First, the legal stuff wrapped up pretty quickly. Madison pleaded guilty and paid the $730 in restitution without much drama. Her attorney tried the emotional distress angle, but the 2 a.m. timing and medical scrubs made it look pretty premeditated. As for Madison and Noah, well, karma has an interesting sense of timing. Madison did get the job at his clinic, and they made their relationship official right after I was out of the picture. But about 6 months later, Noah was fired for having inappropriate relationships with multiple staff members. Turns out Madison was not his only workplace conquest. They moved to Boise together after that. But last month I heard through mutual friends that Madison caught him texting another nurse from his new job. Some patterns never change, I guess. As for me, I took that solo honeymoon trip to Costa Rica, and it turned into the best decision I made all year. On my last day there, I met Renee Walters, a literature professor from UW. We started talking about books, then about life. And when I mentioned the White Lilies story, she said it sounded like something out of a novel. Very cinematic, she said. Though hopefully with a better ending than most Russian literature. We have been dating for 6 months now, and the difference is remarkable. Where Madison was drama, Renee is steady. Where Madison needed constant validation, Renee is secure in herself. When Renee says she needs a quiet night to grade papers, she actually spends the evening grading papers. Revolutionary concept. I know. Last month, I did something symbolic that felt important. I sold Madison's engagement ring and commissioned a brass globe paperweight with my classroom coordinates engraved on it. It sits on my desk now, reminding me daily of something I tell my students. The world is unpredictable and sometimes unfair, but if you face it with honesty and clear eyes, it tends to reward you eventually. So that is my final update, Reddit. Got her space to focus on herself. And I gave her more of it than she probably expected. She wanted time to figure out what she really wanted. and I gave her the rest of her life to do it without me in it. As for me, I learned that being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. And when you stop settling for relationships that require you to ignore your instincts, you create space for relationships that actually make sense. Renee is coming over tonight to help me plan a unit on World War I poetry. We are going to cook dinner, probably drink too much wine while discussing Wilfred Owen, and maybe watch something completely unrelated to either history or literature. Just a regular Tuesday night with someone who wants to be here. It turns out that is all I ever really wanted anyway. Thanks for following along on this journey, Reddit. Sometimes the best revenge really is living well.